yesterday, and that's also a really good point as an entrepreneur. Sometimes you can prepare and practice and work your heart out, and then you still don't get the touchdown, and then you have to find another solution. But it worked out in the end, so that's kind of fortuitous that it happened that way. But anyway, I'm thankful to be here. Thank you for having me, and let's get started. So today, I want to talk about footings before foundation. But who am I? I'm this little girl here. I have been in business all of my life. I'm sitting on my brother, and that's a story for another day. But my father was an auctioneer, a builder, a developer, so I grew up in a family business, and I'm a home builder today. I'm a residential, new construction home builder, and I build dreams. I want you to come home every day to your oasis and enjoy it, and it be pretty and affordable and all those wonderful things. So that's what my company and I do. I do have Josie Schote here today. She is my office manager. I do appreciate her. The wheels would not go round without her. And then I do have my husband here, whom is one of the biggest support systems a woman could just ask the Lord for. So thank you. Okay, so I'm a home builder, but also I'm a mommy, I'm a wifey, I'm a daughter, a sister, a friend. I own 3 dogs. One's a beagle. She barks all night long. I'm a runner, a traveler, an entrepreneur, a lifelong Huntsvillian. Whew. So as an entrepreneur, don't you feel that way sometimes? Like, whew, we need more hours in the day. We need more than 33, right? Yeah. Takes a lot to be an entrepreneur, but I love it. And that's the spirit of entrepreneurship, right? You have to love what you do. So I believe I'm like around 4 years old here answering the phone. My father was Richard Brown. So, okay, today's topic, the footings before foundation, is a very parallel topic to running a company. What is a footing? A footing is the structural component to your foundation. If you don't put footings in, your foundation on your house is not going to make it. And then subsequently, everything else you invest in on top of that foundation, your framing and your roofing and your drywall and your brick and your finishing, it's all wasted, right? So it's the same thing when I run my construction company. I've got to make sure that my construction company has the proper footings in place to be successful, right? So I bought a book, Entrepreneur for Dummies, and that's it. Oh. I'm just kidding. Has anybody ever read those dummy books? I have. I actually kind of like them. But I've been to the school of Entrepreneur for Dummies, and I've learned some successes and some failures. And through the School of Hard Knocks in home building, I have identified 6 areas of entrepreneurial footings: scheduling, employees, your attitude, education, creating processes, and finding a mentor. So that's what I'm going to cover today. Scheduling. In construction, scheduling is super important. It's super important financially. It's super important mentally for your subcontractors, your vendors, your customers. Anybody ever seen a Gantt chart for construction? It's intense. And if you miss a step or you mismanage something, the whole project it doesn't work out. It's the same thing if you're an entrepreneur in your company. You have to think about scheduling, timing, the steps you're going to take. If you're not a goal setter and you don't put things on paper for others to see, you need to start doing it. I have big whiteboards in my office, and even the good, bad, and the ugly, they land themselves on that whiteboard. In scheduling, one thing I did learn is that you cannot be too fast. You'll rush to failure, and then you'll end up building stairs to nowhere. So scheduling in your life and scheduling in business is important, but don't rush. Has anybody ever built a house before? You cannot sit on your hands either, and you cannot procrastinate. Success does not come to you and knock on your door. You actually have to get out and ask for it. Knock on other people's doors. Look at Miss Vicky. She's a good example. She's getting out there with hot coffee and knocking on doors. So idle hands are the work of the devil, and that's true. So you have to find a good compromise in between going too fast and sitting on your hands. And sometimes as an entrepreneur, it's hard to find that good balance. And then that's when you lean on others and you pray. So scheduling is really important in your company and your life. Your employees. I wouldn't be here speaking today if I didn't have Miss Josie Schote, who runs my office and keeps me sane and organized. Your employees are as valuable as a piece of real estate. So you're going to want to invest in them, you're going to want to nurture them, and most importantly, you're going to want to train them. So as an entrepreneur, when you hire people, the reason why you hire somebody is because you actually need help. But often, where do you find the time to train somebody? But I have learned you've got to stop yourself and actually give your employees the training that they need to help you run the company. You cannot run your company on your own. And at some point, you pass the ball off and ask them to help you, but you arm them with tools, education, classes, books. Also, I've gotten to know Josie. It's important I get to know her family. We go out to dinner with her and her husband. I want to know about her little girl. I want to temperature check her life because she's important to me. And if she's happy and she's healthy at Rachel Brown Homes, my company's going to be healthy. So I'm a big proponent in employees. Now, hiring employees, the DISC personality test needs to become your best friend. I said, Josie, I want you to come and work for me. I think you've got all the things that make for an awesome office manager. But you've got to take a personality test because I've got to make sure that you're actually built on the inside for this position. And often, when people take personality tests, you find out maybe the position that you thought was great for them in your company, they need to be somewhere else. So I also have a project manager, and I personality tested him too. So I'm a big proponent of that. If you don't hire appropriately, I'm sorry, I love funny pictures. Your greatest asset will become your greatest liability. So that really is why things don't get done, by the way. Okay, attitude. This is a big joke in my household because whenever I'm stressed out or upset, my sweet husband will say, hang in there. And I don't like it. I don't like it when he tells me to hang in there because I think about the kitty cat poster and, okay, hang in there. But the advice that he's giving is true. You've got to have a good attitude so that the people that work for you and the people that are around you and even yourself, you're not going to get anywhere without a good attitude. And the very definition of it is to remain persistent and determined in difficult circumstances. Running a company, you're going to run into difficult circumstances. It doesn't matter how much money you make or how successful you come. That's always going to be part of running a company or working for one. See? That's staying determined right here. Okay, education. I think it's completely fortuitous that you guys are sponsoring this today because education is so important. My grandfather was raised in Phoenix City, and if you don't know anything about the history of Phoenix City, Google it, because it is rough. It was a rough and tumble place to grow up. But he grew up there with several brothers and sisters in an abusive household and even went off to war. When he came back, he worked so hard in the books that he got an education. And he was granted a scholarship at Mercer. He ended up being a physicist for NASA here in Huntsville. He liked to read technical manuals for fun. I can't relate to that. But education is important. So I'm constantly reading Forbes articles and entrepreneur articles and taking classes, and I'm doing anything and everything I can constantly to make sure that I'm a good leader, that I'm a great home builder. How can I help my customers? How can I be good to my vendors, my subcontractors? Education is so important. If you ever get to a point where you feel like you know everything, you've hit a wall and you're so upside down. So education's important. I don't know why I keep going backwards. Must be my high IQ. I go, ha ha ha. Okay, and then processes. If you do something more than once, set up a good system for it. Anybody in here know who Marcus Lemonis is? Oh my goodness, my poor husband. I'm obsessed with this man.
I love that show.
I do too, and the reason why is he's a billionaire, but he's a nice billionaire. He's kind, he loves people, he loves processes, and he believes in people's product. But the reason why I really love watching his show is that he'll come in and identify how to streamline something, which is mostly one of the biggest hurdles an entrepreneur faces, is how to organize a problem. And I run into it all the time. So processes, I really strongly suggest, even if you can't figure out how to do it, go ask somebody, help me, I need a process. Whoever you've let down, go to them and say, look, how can I be better?
Rachel, number one problem in not-for-profits too.
Is the process?
Correct.
Well, it's hard because you can get so submersed that you're no longer, I guess an outside perspective is good to help you in a process. So whether you're in a restaurant or you're bail bondsman. Who's the bail bondsman? I need your card, by the way. You showed me a bail bondsman card, so I thought maybe there was one here. Anyway, okay. But processes are important. And then lastly, this is my mentor. Her name is Lisa Burge. She is a developer in Casper, Wyoming. There's not a lot of female builders. There's not a lot of female developers. One of them, Sandra Steele, I looked up to, if anybody knew Sandra Steele. She was something else. She's one of the very few developers I knew in my life. And I really looked up to her. But I really suggest you get a mentor, because Lisa is my biggest coach when I really need one. But more importantly, I need somebody to tell me when I'm wrong, or I don't know what I'm talking about, or the idea that I think is great isn't so great. You don't need to just surround yourself with yes men. You've got to have somebody in your life that can say, hey, look, you know, that's the wrong place to put your money, or that's not how you should talk to an employee, or hug your husband's neck a little bit more tonight. So finding a mentor has changed my life and my business, because I have somebody outside of family and friends and employees. Your employees don't always need to know the good, the bad, and the ugly. So finding a mentor is really important as well. So in conclusion, the final, this is not one of my projects, by the way. This is not a Rachel Brown design here, but I do make mistakes. And one thing that I have learned about being an entrepreneur is that you're going to make mistakes. Admit your mistake. Just go on ahead and say, hey, look, I failed, that was me. Especially for your employees, I think it helps when the leader says, look, I failed. Your customers, whoever you work with, it's not a point of weakness to say I messed up. It actually, people look up to it. So admit your mistake, but think outside the box for a solution. So a mistake could turn into another way to do business, a way to do business better, something else that you haven't invented or thought of. So I appreciate your time today. It's my weird energy, I guess. I'm not going to go in technology. I'm like, don't need to do that. But thank you so much for your time today. If anybody has any more questions after today, please reach out to me and email me. I look forward to getting to know all of you better. And Vicki, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Rachel.
Yes, you're wonderful. Thank you.